All right, everyone. Jeff Mack here. I am doing another live here. In fact, this is breaking new ground again as a technological dinosaur. I have a Mac. Safari doesn't work really well with Facebook Live. So the previous ones I've been doing on my phone. Now I'm doing on my computer using Chrome. So bear with me, and I appreciate you joining. I'm going to kind of ramble here for a minute while everybody jumps on board. And again, thanks for joining us. I know we've been talking about, and I'll continue. In fact, my primary business is helping companies and distributors take their business globally, internationally. But the things that we're going to talk about, tonight, very simply. In each of my videos are also very sound fundamentals to growing your business locally as well. There's just be a couple extra things on a global basis that you really want to pay attention to. But these fundamentals, if you put them into play into your normal business, your direct sales, your MLM business, regardless of whether you're building it internationally or not, they're gonna bear dividends. And again, for those of you who don't know me, I've been doing this for 27 years, full time for 26 and a half of those, and it's been a great ride. But I've learned a ton, continuing to learn. And what I want to do, since the internet has made the business, is revolutionized our business because it's made the world such a small place. Good evening, Nicole. And welcome to all of you guys that are joining us. The internet has really revolutionized our business because it's made this such a small place, and it's made building a global business kind of accessible to everyone in our industry. And I'm not going to spend all the reasons tonight talking about how to build a global business. Hi, me, good to have you on. Or why you should build a global business. We can cover that in a different, in fact, I probably should cover that in a different video, and I will, probably reasons you haven't thought of, but more and more people have access to doing that and want to do that than ever before because the world is such a smaller place. So I wanted to spend some time sharing kind of what I've learned. Again, 27 years in this industry, 21 of those building, very focused on building international businesses, mostly on the distributor side. But for the last number of years, helping corporate as well in a consulting capacity and executive capacity in some cases. So with that, let's kind of get into our topic. Now, again, we're talking about some of the fundamentals to building a global business, and I've done 2 videos already on this topic. Tip number 1 was build yourself credibility. Get off to a fast start, build credibility. If you got credibility in another arena, that's good and that'll help for sure. But build credibility with your company by hitting some pin ranks. And then tip number 2 was work on your social media footprint. This is something that I started building, a global business before there really was an internet, certainly before there was social media. And so I'm learning every day about how to do this. And the more I learn, the more impressed I am about what a role social media can play in the development and growth of your business. So work on your social media skills, your content, your profile especially, and pay attention to how all that positively impacts or otherwise your credibility, because that's going to make a big difference when you build a global business as well. Okay, today's topic. Okay, this is going to be I'm going to call it the art of the follow-up, okay? And what I mean by that is, follow-up, and I wrote a book, actually I wrote a chapter in a book, The Ultimate Guide to Network Marketing, about follow-up, the hidden gold mine. In fact, you can go to jmac.com/chapter if you want to get that chapter for free without buying the book. If you want to buy the book, it's available on Amazon. Wiley and Sons, the publisher, I would appreciate me saying that. But you can get that jmac.com/chapter, again, jmack.com/chapter, get that. So follow up can be very methodical, very mechanical, but also I say the art of the follow up because there's a art to it as well. And that art part is what will help you build long-lasting relationships. The art part will help you build quicker relationships. And so, you know, the follow-up itself is pretty simple. You know, you want to do what you said you were going to do. You want to show up for appointments on time. And today we're talking more than ever. That's a Zoom or a Skype appointment or some type of real-time collaboration product. Yeah. Okay. Ashley. Yeah. I'm gonna put the link. In fact, I'll put the link in right now. /pt2. Okay. And then most of the rest of the questions I'll try to answer on the fly here, or do it afterwards. So, oh, the picture comes out. That looks good. Anyway, and so let's talk about the art of the follow-up. First off, be dependable. Okay, that seems really rudimentary. Okay, blatantly obvious. You'd be surprised how many people drop the ball. So first off, being dependable means following up when you said you were going to follow up. Be at appointments, even if they're not. Okay, be at your Skype appointments, your phone calls, whatever the case might be. And again, the ability to do that today, communication-wise. Hey, Richie, how are you, man? Good to see you. The ability to do that today is more available than ever before. It's cheaper than ever before. Again, Skype, Zoom. If your person that you're talking to internationally has, you know, an iPhone, there's FaceTime and FaceTime audio if you don't want to use the camera. You know, there's if you're doing business in some particular markets around the world, you want to look at what's most popular for their communication tools. For example, in Korea, there's an app called Kakao Talk. There's an app in Japan called Line, both of which for those companies are very popular. In China, it's WeChat. In Europe, it's mostly WhatsApp. There's others coming online. But you want to try to make it easier for them to communicate in a method that they're kind of used to and are you know, comfortable with. But make sure that you follow up on time, even if they're not there. Make sure that you leave a message or send a text, you know, if you're not able to leave a message on that platform, so that they know. The more you do this, the more you become, you know, really obsessed, OCD, with being a person that does what you said you were going to do, does what you said you were going to do. Then the more this is going to brand you as somebody you can count on. And I can tell you this, there's enough, and I've counted up all over the place. There's enough, you know, people, sponsors in this business that just want to sponsor King Kong internationally, never do anything. They can't be counted on, and that's what makes international distributors skeptical. You can't immediately separate yourself from the rest by just being dependable, by just, you know, following up when you said you were going to and making sure they knew you did. So Nicole's got a question. I'm very skeptical with network marketing. Don't want to put a bunch of energy into it if it's a flop. Hey, I get that. I understand that. I'm going to cover that in a later topic. In fact, afterwards, Nicole, I'll type a few things. You and I can have a private chat. But let me just say this about that. Network marketing is unlike a lot of businesses in that it's a low barrier of entry, and you can reach, you know, a lot of people with your product all over the world very, very quickly. It's like other businesses in that if you don't treat it like a business, it's going to not pay you like a business. It's like other businesses in the success rate or the failure rate is very high. However, the failure rate in this business is the result of either A, being with or choosing the wrong company, or B, just not building yourself and growing yourself and building the skills, or C, not persisting. Okay? So if you're with a good company, good people, good product, then the rest of it, I can tell you, will be on you. It's dependent on you know, what you do, how let's just say how persistent you are, how dedicated you are to being a professional at your trade. And if you're building this as a part-time business and it's your first time, that's awesome. Just don't expect to get, you know, amazing financial results in your first week in the business. Okay. It does happen sometimes for some people, but in most cases it doesn't. It's going to take you a little time. It'll take you a little time to build yourself into a professional and to earn that professional type income. However, if you think about professionals, think about accountants, think about attorneys, think about doctors, there's 12 years of pre-college, high school. Then there's undergraduate. And then if you're a doctor or others, a lot of cases there's graduate work. So that's 16 minimum years before you can get into a professional trade as well, and earn intern money. So just, I want everybody to keep that in mind. And Nicole, that's a quick, rant about your topic, and we could discuss a little bit further. So anyway, the art of the follow-up. So be dependable. Follow up when you plan to, and always when you get off an encounter with someone, and we talked about social media earlier in an earlier video. That's going to be a great way to generate leads. We'll talk about lead generation in another way, but whenever you got the lead, you provide information, then it's time to follow up. Make sure that in your first conversation, whether that's a text conversation or whether that is a face-to-face or voice-to-voice conversation, that you both know your next steps. Okay, that you know when it's time to call and what the next conversation is going to be, and so, or when it's going to be anyway, and what the homework is between now and then, because that'll do two things. Number one, again, brand yourself as a professional. Number two is it'll keep you from wasting your time, because if that individual is a continual no-show, then chances are you're wasting your time, and you can just pull that out of your contact list and move on. Okay, another another topic for a longer video. Now I also tell you this, and there's an article that Entrepreneur Magazine put out about how to take your business global, and it was about not about direct sales, it was about a traditional business, but there were some great analogies and comparisons and similarities to the direct sales business itself. I'm going to break that down in a different video series of videos. I'll break that down and kind of minimize, if you will, the topics that they're covered in that article. But one of the things that the article said was, don't do business in any market that you're not planning on traveling to. And again, with social media, with these type of real-time collaboration, video conferencing platforms, you don't necessarily need to travel, but at some point, you're going to want to travel if you want to really lock that business in and accelerate that growth. Now, whether you do it right away, okay, which I would suggest not from a costing point of view, depending on where you are and where the market is that you're building, or I would suggest that you kind of get a volume figure in mind that allows you to pay for that trip, right, and inch your way toward that volume, set it as a goal, and then when you make a plan to travel there to the meeting, show up. Now, I paused and I smiled because I've also seen people not show up. Oh my God, right? And it has happened. And I hear those stories more often than you might expect. And so again, if you want to be branded as somebody that can be depended on, then show up. The other thing is communicate. That brings us into another subject here in just a second, but you want to be very easy to communicate with. Now, you don't have to drop everything you're doing, and this is one thing that I've got to get better at, is not responding immediately if I'm with somebody else. Okay, that's again another topic for a whole different time. But at your earliest opportunity, whether you have something to share or whether you have a reply or a question that you need to reply to, communicate. Be easy to communicate with, so that they don't have to try to track you down for days at a time. Again, if you don't know someone yet, and chances are in this capacity they don't know you very well, then you almost have to go overboard to fight off the stigma. Because guys, I want to tell you that if you're a distributor from the US and you're looking to build a business somewhere else, and that person has been in our industry before, they have been disappointed by a potential sponsor in the past dozens of times. Okay, so you almost have to go overboard to separate yourself from the rest. But by communicating directly, communicating with respect, but communicating in a timely fashion, again, that's going to be a big do and a big plus for you, and we'll go again towards a long way towards having you stick out in their mind as somebody they can count on. Because again, you guys don't want to deal with people that you can't count on, right? And so that's the same way your potential international partners are. So it's in most cases, particularly if you don't already have major credibility, then that's something that you need to do. You're going to need to go overboard in that capacity to separate yourself from the rest. Okay, so the next thing is, this goes without saying, have integrity. I'm not even going to spend a ton of time on that, but don't leave anybody with the feeling that you got no integrity. Period. I'm going to move on. Now, this is kind of important, and again, it's going to seem kind of obvious, maybe seem kind of a little inane, but don't go doing a bunch of deals. Okay. Again, Nicole, back to your comment about MLM. If you're going to do something, if you spent the time to pick out a company and you did it right, then you want to plant yourself there and build that thing. Now, if you found out you're on the wrong horse, then that's a totally different topic. But if you're on the right horse, but then you've got, let's say you're selling a wellness product, okay? And then all of a sudden you decide that you're also going to invest in cryptocurrency, or you join a crypto deal. Unless you really know that distributor, really well and got a great relationship, you are going to completely trash your credibility if you introduce them to anything else. Their belief is going to go out the window. Everything you've done to date will be for naught. You've wasted your time. You've squandered that relationship. Don't do it, okay? And I see people doing it every day. Now, are there people in our industry that can do multiple deals? The fact of the matter is very few. There are some, and the fact is that it's less than 1/100th of 1%. So that's about 1 out of every 1 million people or 100,000 people that are in the space. And the fact is that person didn't build credibility doing that. They built credibility over the years. And so don't even think about it. Don't go there. Please do not. Just don't introduce a bunch of deals or another deal to your new distributor until you have become the top pen rank in your company and have had great success. And so I shouldn't even have to cover that, but man, you would kind of be amazed at what I've seen and what happened. So, okay. So we're going to move on from there. So be dependable. That's kind of enough about that topic, and we can go into it more if you got questions. Just put them in the box here or the box below if you're watching the replay of this. Okay. Now, we talked about communication a minute ago, and this is a hugie. It's bigger than a biggie. Okay. This is a hugie. This is a big, big, big don't. Okay. Do not be assumptive. Okay. You're dealing with different cultures. In some cases, depending on where you are, English is not their first language. If you're communicating with them in English, don't assume anything. Be very clear on your communications. Let me give you a couple of examples. Okay, so maybe you're starting to build a team, and your new partner has brought on a new partner or a new customer. I would encourage you not to send that new customer an email or a welcome message. In the US, okay, people don't typically think twice about that, and it's not a big deal. I can tell you guys internationally, it's a big deal. You will damage your relationship in a lot of cases, particularly if you're talking about someone who's been in MLM before, has a group. What they have seen in the past is they've seen And in fact, in some countries, you can't even, it's illegal for the country to show anybody but the sponsor the contact information, email or anything else, or allow them through the back office to address this because, or to communicate with them. Because what's happened a lot is that people join a company, particularly like a binary company, for example, where there's, you know, a lot of people flow, a lot of people flowing, you know, down a leg. But even in the levels, or regardless of the compensation plan, let's say you bring on your distributor in a different country, they bring on a new person, you start to communicate with them, and then all of a sudden you join and go do a different deal, and you start to take the people out from underneath them. I can promise you every one of your international distributors, if they've been in business before, has experienced that, or they know people that have, and it's one of their worst fears, and they will never talk to you again if you do that in some cases. So don't assume it's cool to send an email to their distributors or their customers, okay? Discuss it with them first. That's the communication part. Don't assume that. Same way with emails. The other thing is do not under any circumstances drop their name. Don't use their name in speaking with someone else in their country or even someone else internationally. This is a small world. You never know who knows who. You will completely ruin your relationship. It'll be over, kaput, bye. Don't use their name. Don't assume that they won't find out, okay? Don't bring people into the conversation unannounced. Don't introduce them to another person via three-way call without them knowing it. Again, in the States, that's kind of common practice in a lot of cases. Internationally, they don't like that. They're not used to it. In many cases, they're not even used to doing three-way calls. Okay? Don't suggest that they do things that are counter to their culture. And let me give you a suggestion again, or a hint. In the United States, one of the big ways that we do business is through private small group presentations or in-homes or parties or however you want to say it. And in the States, a lot of people bring people to their homes to do that. I can tell you internationally, in a lot of places internationally, that doesn't happen. They don't bring people to their home. Don't suggest when you launch your new distributor that they do an in-home presentation because they don't have people in the home. It's not their culture. And so find out, again, this is all part of the communication process. Doing group presentations is culturally, okay, but they do them at other locations. Sometimes, again, for example, in a lot of the Asian markets, it's a sit-down, face-to-face culture. They don't send tools. They don't send videos, whether it's web link or otherwise. In certain countries, people don't have computers. They only have smartphones. Make sure that if you're going to send information that, your company's website is mobile compatible, but don't assume people are going to be able to access a laptop. So things like this are going to out you as a rookie, and it's going to damage your credibility. So do a little bit of homework first in terms of your billing methodology to know what's culturally, correct in that market or not. That was also one of the big things in the Entrepreneur article that we'll talk about later. So if you got questions about that, I mean, I've done business in a lot of countries around the world. Send me a message. I'll be happy to kind of tell you yes or no. And we'll help you in that capacity. I want to help everybody make their business more successful. I want to help make this world a smaller place with respect to the good people connecting and weed out everybody else. And so I know you're on here because you want to be better. You want to share your talent and your skills. You want to build relationships around the world. I think that's one of the wonderful things about our industry. I think that we need more of that in this industry and in this world, and I want to help do that. So if I can help in that capacity, let me know. That is also one of the reasons why I spend time doing these and do what I do in terms of international consulting is, I think that the experience is rich, amazingly rich for those that have the courage to undertake it. And for those that do, I want to make sure that they do it right and have the best possible success and you'd be amazed over the years at what I've seen about our assumptions here in the States about different cultures. And then you go there and it's nothing like what you thought. And the people are nothing like what you thought. They were amazing. There wasn't this divide. There's this great warmth. And so I love that about this industry. I want to foster more of that. That's why I'm doing what I do. And so with that, guys, we've come to the end of our time for this video. Now, if you're watching the replay, again, I appreciate your time for watching this. Please, if you have comments, feedback, questions, put them in the comment bar. And we will, we'll take our time and make sure that we answer them as soon as possible. But again, I'm here to help you globalize your enterprise, and I appreciate you listening in. So with that, everyone, again, thanks. Let's globalize your enterprise, and we shall see you soon. Cheers.